Imagine a parallel universe operating right under our noses, an underground economy with its own rules, logistics, and a supply chain as complex as any Fortune 500 company. Today, we're not talking about legal products that end up on Walmart shelves. We're diving into the forbidden journey, the anatomy of one of the oldest and most widespread illicit operations in the world: marijuana trafficking. This isn't glorification. It's an autopsy, an attempt to understand the mechanics of an empire that flourishes in the shadows from beginning to end. It all starts in a place where government presence is rare, far from skyscrapers and pavement, in remote valleys or hard-to-reach mountainsides, often along the Mexican border states or deep in national forests across California, Oregon, or even Kentucky. Here, the soil is fertile not just for the plant, but for desperation. The first piece in this chess game isn't a hardened criminal, but often a struggling farmer or rural worker, someone barely making ends meet with traditional crops whose profits are eaten up by middlemen and corporate agriculture. It's to them that the first link in the chain presents itself, not with a gun, but with a proposition, a promise of profits that could change their family's life in a single harvest. Seeds are provided, along with a guaranteed buyback. The offer is impossible to refuse. From that moment, that piece of land becomes clandestine. The plantation is designed to blend with native vegetation, sometimes in small, dispersed clearings to avoid detection by satellites or helicopters. This farmer's life transforms into a cycle of tension, tending the forbidden plant while constantly watching the sky and the road, fearing the unwanted arrival of law enforcement or rivals from cartels. When the plants reach maturity, harvesting begins. It's a manual, intense process. Flowers, leaves, and stems are carefully separated. The distinctive smell permeates the air for miles. Next comes drying, a crucial step to ensure potency and preservation. It's done in makeshift barns, dark and ventilated, where plants hang upside down like macabre trophies of a successful harvest. After drying, the product is ready for its first major transformation. Most of the harvest, destined for mass consumption and the lower-end market, is brutally compressed into compact blocks, the infamous bricks, using hydraulic presses. Pounds of plant material are crushed into dense packages, easy to stack, transport, and hide. Actually, this stage quality is sacrificed for logistical efficiency. Additives might be mixed in to increase weight and profit. A smaller portion of the harvest, the high-quality flowers known as top-shelf exotic or premium bud, receives different treatment. They're handled with care, vacuum sealed to preserve aroma and appearance, destined for a more demanding market, and, of course, much more profitable. The farm has fulfilled its role. The farmer receives payment, a tiny fraction of the product's final value, and the merchandise moves to the next level of the chain. Logistics now begins the real odyssey. The merchandise needs to travel hundreds, maybe thousands of miles, crossing state and international borders. And here, human creativity for crime reaches its peak. Every cubic inch of a truck or vehicle is a potential hiding spot. Door panels, fuel tanks, spare tires, secret compartments welded under the chassis, loads of produce, lumber, or legitimate goods that serve as cover. Inspection needs to be more than thorough. It needs luck. Drivers are recruited, often ordinary people drowning in debt, who accept the risk for an amount that seems huge to them, but is insignificant to the organization. On more sophisticated routes, technology comes into play. High-capacity drones are used to cross borders at night, transporting packages from one side to the other without touching the ground. Fishing boats leave port with their declared cargo but return with holds stuffed with waterproof packages. Semi-trucks with hidden compartments built into the trailer walls, indistinguishable from the structure itself. At the most heavily monitored borders, human mules are the riskiest and most desperate method. People who swallow dozens of capsules containing the product or strap it to their bodies, praying they won't be selected for a more thorough search, or that one of the capsules does unrupture in their stomach, which would mean an agonizing death. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game. Law enforcement invests in X-ray scanners, drug-sniffing dogs, and intelligence. Traffickers invest in new routes, new concealment methods, and, crucially, in corruption. A bribed official at a border patrol checkpoint or a state trooper on the highway is worth more than the most ingenious hiding place. Each successful crossing is a victory worth millions. Each seizure is just a calculated loss. Inventory shrinkage already factored into the organization's spreadsheet. Once across the border or state line, the load doesn't go directly to the street. It arrives at a wholesale distribution center, usually a warehouse, in an anonymous industrial zone on the outskirts of a major city like Los Angeles, Houston, Atlanta, or Phoenix. Here, the operation takes on a more business-like appearance. The warehouse manager, a trusted figure in the upper echelon, receives the shipment. The merchandise is weighed, verified, and divided into smaller batches. It's at this point that the multi-ton shipment fragments to supply different territory managers or factions within the city or region. Violence, which until now was a latent risk, becomes a business tool. Protection of these warehouses is provided by armed men. Cargo theft by rival gangs is common, and retaliation is bloody. Accounting is done with the same rigor as a corporation, but the ledgers are codes and nicknames. From this point, the merchandise is ready for distribution to infiltrate the veins of the city. We've seen the remote origin, the brutal transformation, and the dangerous crossing that moves tons. But how does this empire, operating in the hundreds of millions with military-grade logistics, actually reach the end consumer? The next phase of the journey is even more fragmented, volatile, and violent. It's the front line of this silent war. If this deep dive into the mechanics of underground worlds is fascinating to you, and if you want to understand how this chain ends, or for many, how it begins, take this moment to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss the conclusion of this complex and dangerous chain. Welcome back! The merchandise, now in smaller batch, is in the hands of local managers. The neighborhood shot callers, or Connect. Their task is to organize the retail network, the tip of the spear, the sales points, known as trap houses or spots. And here, the personnel structure is tragic and replaceable. At the bottom of the pyramid is the street dealer, the frontline salesman, usually a young person from the community, with few prospects, who sees drug dealing as an opportunity for status, money, and power that mainstream society denies them. They work in shifts, constantly exposed to the risk of being arrested or killed by police or rivals. Above them, there's a hierarchy of functions. The lookout, positioned at strategic points, has the job of warning about police arrival, often using specific signals or burner phones. There's the enforcer or muscle, who protects the sales point, and the runner, who delivers product and collects money. Above them all is the trap manager, who controls inventory, collects cash, and reports to the boss. Life here is cheap. A dealer arrested or killed is immediately replaced by another. Loyalty is maintained through a mixture of benefits and fear. The war for territory is constant. A block, a corner, can be the stage for deadly battles between factions fighting to control the lucrative retail market. Turf wars in cities like Chicago, Baltimore, or St. Louis claim lives weekly, while the farmer at the origin and the street dealer at the tip risk their freedom and lives for pennies. The truly astronomical profits accumulate at the higher levels. And that brings us to the final and perhaps most sophisticated stage of the entire process: the money. Mountains of cash, small bills, dirty and marked by their origin. This money can't simply be deposited in a bank. It needs to be laundered to gain a legitimate appearance. This is where street crime meets white-collar crime. Money laundering is an art. Front businesses are created. Businesses that deal with lots of cash are ideal. Car washes, nail salons, strip clubs, restaurants, check cashing stores, even legitimate businesses that are simply used to mix dirty money with clean profits. The drug money is blended with the business's legitimate revenue, day after day, in small amounts, making it impossible to trace its origin. The car wash owner declares much higher profits than reality, pays taxes on that inflated profit, and voila, the money is clean. Other methods include Investment in real estate, properties bought with cash and then sold or rented, the purchase of luxury goods, jewelry, cars, or the use of money service businesses that operate in parallel markets to wire money offshore. Recently, cryptocurrencies have become a new and powerful tool, allowing anonymous and transnational transfers with the click of a button. Bitcoin ATMs in convenience stores become washing machines for dirty cash. This clean money is what finances the lavish lifestyle of trafficking bosses, who often live far from the violence their operation generates. It's what allows them to corrupt officials, invest in legitimate businesses, and expand their empire. Shell companies in Delaware or Nevada, luxury condos in Miami, legitimate businesses that provide both cover and profit. And so, the cycle completes itself. From the seed planted by the hand of a desperate farmer, through the press, through the hidden compartments in trucks, through the violent streets of an American city, the product was sold, the money was collected and laundered. And now it's ready to finance the next harvest, the next crossing, the next war. It's a snake eating its own tail, a monstrous machine fueled by a combination of prohibition, social inequality, corruption, and the relentless demand from consumers. What we've shown here is a dramatization, a skeleton of this process's mechanics. Reality is infinitely more complex, brutal, and tragic. Each step of this journey leaves a trail of destroyed lives. The farmer living in fear, the driver gambling their freedom, the mule risking their life, the young dealer who won't reach 25, and the countless victims of violence generated by territorial disputes. Understanding this mechanism isn't endorsing it. It's the first step toward grasping the magnitude of the problem and questioning the strategies that, for decades, have tried unsuccessfully to dismantle it. The war on drugs has cost America over $1 trillion and counting. Yet the machine keeps running, adapting, evolving, because as long as there's demand, prohibition, and profit margins in the thousands of %, this shadow economy will continue to thrive.